Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Ist du fertig? Oder fast? So, Hare Krishna. We are reading from this wonderful literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, Puranam Amalam, Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. Canto 4, chapter 28, verse 17. Geht's? Aham Mameti. Aham Mameti Svikritya. Aham Mameti Svikritya. Griheshu Kumatir Grihi. Griheshu Kumatir Grihi. Dadyau Pramadaya Dino. Dadyau Pramadaya Dino. Viprayoga Upastite. Viprayoga Upastite. Aham Mameti Svikritya. Griheshu Kumatir Grihi. Dadyau Pramadaya Dino. Viprayoga Upastite. Please.
Aham Mameti Svikritya. Griheshu Kumatir Grihi. Dadyau Pramadaya Dino. Viprayoga Upastite.
Noch jemand? Nee. Mataji.
Aham Mameti Svikritya. Griheshu Kumatir Grihi. Dadyau Pramadaya Dino. Viprayoga Upastite.
Aham Mameti Svikritya. Griheshu Kumatir Grihi.
Kumatir Grihi.
Dadyau Pramadaya Dino.
Dadyau Pramadaya Dino. Viprayoga Upastite. Aham. I. Mama. Mine. Iti. Thus. Svikritya. Accepting. Griheshu. In the home. Kumatihi. Whose mind is full of obnoxious thoughts. Grihi. The householder. Dadyau. Turns his attention to. Pramadaya. With his wife. Dinaha. Very poor. Viprayoge. When separation. Upastite. Occurred. This is some continuation of the King Puranjana's attachment, description of King Puranjana's attachment. Translation. King Puranjana was overly attached to his family and conceptions of I and mine. Because he was overly attracted to his wife, he was already quite poverty-stricken. At the time of separation, he became very sorry. Purport. It is clear in this verse that at the time of death, thoughts of material enjoyment do not go away. This indicates that the living entity, the soul, is carried by the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and ego. Due to false ego, the living entity still wants to enjoy the material world, and for want of material enjoyment, he became sorry or sad. He still makes intellectual plans to further his existence, and therefore, although he gives up the gross body, he is carried by the subtle body to another gross body. The transmigration of the subtle body is never visible to material eyes. Therefore, when one gives up the gross body, we think he is finished. Plans for material enjoyment are made by the subtle body, and the gross body is the instrument for enjoying these plans. Thus, the gross body can be compared to the wife, for the wife is the eager agent of all kinds of sense gratification. Because of long association with the gross body, the living entity becomes very sad to be separated from it. The mental activity of the living entity obliges him to accept another gross body and continue his material existence. The Sanskrit word stri, expansion, means expansion. Through the wife, one expands his various objects of attraction, sons, daughters, grandsons, and so on. Attachment to family members become very prominent at the time of death. One often sees that just before leaving his body, a man may call for his beloved son to give him charge of his wife and other paraphernalia. He may say, "My dear boy, I've been forced to leave. Please take charge of the family affairs." He speaks in this way, not even knowing his destination. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. So, this is a very famous statement, Aham Mameti. This is there's a verse in the 5th canto. Pumsa striya mituni bhava metam tayor mito bhridaya granti mahu ato griha kshetra sutapta vitar janyasya moho yam aham ameti. This is a famous verse explaining that how does this aham and mam, this I and my, how does this develops, or how do you say, how does this entrenches itself in this material world? It's beginning with the attraction between male and female. The verse says, this is the basic principle of material existence. Hare Krishna. Not attraction to, material gadget, but attraction between male and female. This is the basic, interestingly enough, the basic principle, how material existence starts in general. On the basis of this misconception, the verse says, which ties together the hearts of male and female. We spoke yesterday about love, how love is actually a little more than just, feelings. The love is also, there's a personal interests on both sides in the loving affair. And then, but based on this attraction, the hearts are tied together, and one becomes attracted to his body, to his home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. We spoke about all this yesterday. About wealth, about home, how people are very attached to their own, the possessions, because they're attached, because they can exercise, they can exploit their senses, can be gratified by involving themselves in all these wonderful things, nice home, nice children. But we spoke all about this yesterday. In this way, one can increase life's illusion and things in terms of eye and mind. So this is just, you can say, deepening the illusion of the living entity. It's already, the living entity is already an illusion. First of all, thinking himself or herself to be the body. But then, by doing all this, it just increases the illusion. And then you just consider, this is it, the life is this. Although we also spoke a little bit yesterday, the Maharaja Rahugana was a little bit confused by the speech of Jada Bharat, who told him that you are just, you think you are the king sitting on a palanquin, but in reality you are just components of these elements, material elements, combined together. And you think you are king, and they think they are, and we think this is a palanquin, but actually these are just material elements. In Sanskrit it's called dravyas, substances. Bhumirapo nalovayu kamano buddhirevacha. These are the earth, water, fire, different substances tied together. In different philosophies, this describe the atoms. Atomism, we have also in our own Hindu, you can say, philosophy, we have this atomism in Vaisheshika philosophy. So described everything is made of atoms. Atom is actually the smallest indivisible component. Like what is the smallest? So all this little thing is getting together, and somehow we have hands and we speak and we have brains and all these things. This is called atomism. So we deconstruct the body, and we deconstruct this world, and we find out that it's just little small particles which are somehow connected together. So therefore, you thinking that you are the king, or you thinking you are a man and you are a woman, is just an illusion. But interesting point, what is Maharaj Rahugan also said, he said, what you told me, that understanding this is not enough for self-realization. Meaning, to understand that you are not a body is not enough to be self-realized, to understand Krishna, to understand God. If this is enough, I taught yesterday, then Krishna, Bhagavad Gita would be spoken 2nd chapter, and that would be it. Krishna would speak 2:13, 2:14, to something, few verses, but she explains you are not the body, dehinasmin yata dehe, and that will be the end of the Bhagavad Gita, because you realize you're not the body. But there is much more than that. Realizing you're not the body, first of all, you have to act on that platform, and second of all, you have to engage in the service of Krishna. And this is why Srila Prabhupada established International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and this is why Srila Prabhupada established temples. Prabhupada says that temples are not meant for eating and sleeping, but they're meant actually for distributing books all over the world. But also they're meant for devotees to actually understand spiritual knowledge. So temples are basically educational, supposed to be educational institutions, to educate ourselves about the difference between matter and spirit, and the knower and the enjoyer of all Bhoktaram Yagatapasam Saraloka Maheshwaram, and to engage ourselves in pure devotional service. This is what the temple is established for. This is the reason why we have temples. This should never be forgotten. Temples are not shelter of haven for people we don't know what to do with ourselves, so let's go to the temple, and somehow there's food there and I can do a little bit of service and this is good enough. That actually temples are meant for, this is the most serious educational institution, the most serious university of all the universities, because we learn we should learn a transcendental science of Krishna. And by engaging ourselves in such, temples should be inhabited by pure devotees. There's lots of discussion, pure devotees, we wait for somebody to come from the airplane, when he's a pure devotee. Wow, he's a pure devotee. But actually pure devotee is anybody who is purely engaged, full-time engaged, a totally dedicated servant of Krishna. It was interesting, in the book called Servant of the Servant by Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami, he, as a very young devotee, joined ISKCON, and he was very few days in the movement, and he asked Srila Prabhupada, are you the only pure devotee in the world? And Srila Prabhupada was laughing. And he said, and he turned to his, Uddhava, I don't know, the temple president at that time, and he said, Uddhava, how many devotees do we have in ISKCON currently? At that time, and Uddhava said 87. He says, imagine, ISKCON had 87 devotees at that time, only. This is unbelievable, 87 devotees in the whole world. And Prabhupada looked and he said, 87, and he turned to Tamal Krishna and he said, we have at least 87 pure devotees. So, of course, Maharaj realized later on that this is actually anybody who is engaged in pure devotional service is considered a pure devotee, because although may not be on the highest level of realization, just as a mango is green, it's still a mango. In time the mango will ripen and become full ripening mango, but mango is mango, one who practices pure devotional service. Because it is not matter of who is going there first, the matter is who is going there. Somebody has a better car, somebody has a really fast car, and somebody has a old car, and somebody has a bicycle. So somebody has a bicycle naturally will go much slower than the person who has a car, but the destination will be the same. So we should not be enamored by this, you know, I have to say it again, but the celebrity culture. It's a celebrity culture. Who is a celebrity culture? Wow, this is a person, amazing person. Yes, we respect, but we also respect the others who ride in bicycle. Those who riding bicycle are sometimes also unknown to us. In our eyes, they may be riding the bicycle, but in reality, they may be riding in a Corvette or whatever the fast car is. And this is the example of Maharaj Bharat, Jada Bharat. He was apparently, in the eyes of these learned scholars or whatever, he was a dumb, dull man. Again, his brothers would put him in the field, and he would supposedly to guard the corn, you know, from the crows, whatever. He would just sit there and they would say, "Oh, this is so useless guy. He cannot even guard the corn." So they would give him the burnt rice, and he would eat burnt rice, and they would think, "Wow, he's so stupid," you know. But in reality, he was actually a pure devotee of Krishna. So in the same way, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was very much, you can say, his greatness was covered when he was in the Gaudiya, when he was still living in the Gaudiya Math. Nobody could see it. Even now, actually, after Prabhupada has done so many things, they still don't see it. Most of them. You know. They don't see that Prabhupada is unbelievable, not just amazing pure devotee, but he's actually Shakti-avesh avatar, fit to be part of Srimad Bhagavatam, actually. What Prabhupada has done, this is fit to be part of Srimad Bhagavatam, no question about it. But yet, when he was living in the, you know, in his society of his Guru Maharaj, people did not see, they did not recognize. They thought, oh, he's a Pachagrihasta. Because only sannyas meant advancement. If you're not sannyasi, you are pacha. Pacha means rotten. You are rotten grihasta. You know, is it Bengali? Pacha is rotten?
Yeah, this is pocha.
Pacha grihasta. So this is it, you know. So we should understand this, and this in this way we'll be able to actually. But it takes one to know one. This is what the common saying is. Unless we advance, it is very difficult to understand who is advanced. So therefore, when we are on the Kanishta level, we think it's basically only Krishna is advanced, and maybe my guru, and me. So that's about it, you know. Everybody else is down there, you know. Because Kanishta Adhikari, it is described in the scriptures, cannot recognize who is on which level, or they think everybody is devotee, or you know they quote this Rajneesh and that Rajneesh, you know, as an authorized spiritual authority. But this is a sign that this is a Kanishta Adhikari. Madhyama Adhikari, however, can recognize, okay, this is a devotee, this is an innocent person, this is an envious person. An envious person, the Madhyama Adhikari avoids. Okay, this is envious. Stay away from the snakes and scorpions. But you know, innocent person, the preacher is how do you say, merciful. Jive doya, Krishna Nam Sarva Shastra Sar. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, mercy to the innocent jiva, to the innocent jivas. Krishna Nam, chanting on Hare Krishna. This is the essence of all the scriptures. Sarva Shastra Sar. Sara means essence. So. I thought I continued reading from the Prabhupada's Servant of the Servant by Tamal Krishna Goswami, and that was a very, very interesting thing. And in one point, Tamal Krishna Goswami writes how he, you can say, started his service in ISKCON. Because there was very few devotees, 87 as we know, in the whole world, and he was living in San Francisco at that time. So Prabhupada, San Francisco temple was a rented place, and devotees did not have money. So they struggled to pay the rent. So Prabhupada, at that time only Jayananda was working as a taxi driver, and he would, you know, maintain the temple. So Prabhupada says it's not fair the one person maintains everybody. And he said, you should get jobs. All of you who live in the temple should get jobs. So they all got jobs. You know, Gargamuni was working in the Kodak a film factory developing at that time films. We didn't have digital films, but this actual tapes. And Tamal Krishna also got involved in this. He got a job there. But somehow or other, they got fired and somehow did not make much money. And they complained to Prabhupada, we could not make much money from these jobs. And Prabhupada says, anyways, why don't you try for street chanting and see what Krishna can do. So they start going out on Harinams, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj organized the first, he was the first managing Sankirtan, manager of all times. He managed the first Harinam team. So he had devotees he bought devotees this shirt with how you call these things anyways? Color, yellow. And everybody has the same bed sheet, So Mataji's also had yellow. Everybody was in yellow. And then he divided. You are singing, you are playing midangas, you are playing kartals. It was the first Harinam, organized Harinam party. And then they brought a conch. So from time to time, they would blow the conch to purify the atmosphere, because San Francisco, materialistic town. So devotees would stand on the street, and he said it was very difficult because nobody cared. It's not like when they had a program in their hippie area, 100 people would come, but he said there in the city nobody cared. And the cars and all these things. So they would blow the conch to purify the atmosphere. And then Tamal Krishna thought, how about if I go with a conch and ask for donations? So he would go from person to person who gather around the Harinam and put a conch, and he said, can you put donation in the conch? So people said, okay. They put a coin. And then he said, at the end of the day, they made, $7, whatever, $7.20. And they were so proud. And he was like, wow, we made some money. So next day, Tamal Krishna said, let's do better. So they made some banners with pictures of Krishna and pictures of Prabhupada. And they were offering incense on the street to Prabhupada. And then next day, they collected $40. So he was very excited about this. But he didn't want to write to Prabhupada his emotions, as he says. He wrote to Prabhupada facts. Prabhupada, we went this many Harinams this month, and we collected this much money, and with this, very facts only. He wanted to be a businessman. And this is what Srila Prabhupada replied. This is July 1968, the very early in the movement. My dear Tamal Krishna, please accept my blessings. I'm so glad to receive your letter dated so on and so on. And I noted your successful performance of City Kirtan movement, and it is a very good plan. And now, listen to this. I think we should not be worried about the expenditure. Krishna has given us opportunity of service, and if we simply execute the service by such performance of kirtan and practice ourselves the rules and regulations rigidly and with faith in Krishna and service to the others of the bona fide spiritual master, there will be no scarcity of our necessities of life, and very pleasantly we'll be able to execute our Krishna conscious activities without any anxiety to financial difficulties. So Prabhupada basically completely turned this, apparently existential topic, how do we maintain the temple, how do we pay the bills, into a philosophical topic. And also, he said, don't worry about the expenditure. Actually, don't worry about the money. This is the, key of every manager, key point of every manager, of every temple president. This should be the point. Do not worry about the money. Well, every temple president, first thing when you become temple president, first thing you do is you worry about the money. You ask, I ask first, how much money do we have? How much expenditures do we have? But Prabhupada says, do not worry about money. Why? Because Krishna has given us opportunity of service. Meaning, our focus should not be on money, our focus should be on service. So again, in the same other things, the temples, the focus of the temple should be on service, not on anything else, not on who is doing what, or who is taking this bed, or who is temple commander. I secretly wanted to be temple commander, and maybe I should put some in the food of the temple commander so he gets sick, so I can become temple commander. You know, we should. This should not be the priority. Priority should be the service. You know, then by such performance of kirtan and practice ourselves the rules and regulations rigidly and with faith. So, meaning the practice has to be practiced. We have to practice this kirtan, meaning chanting, and rules and regulations rigidly with faith. This is actually more important than collecting funds, interestingly enough. Because Prabhupada many times said, preach and the money will come. And this is a very mystical thing. And every preacher knows, if you ever actually do this with faith, the money will come. Somehow or other, money will come. Of course, we just don't lay on the ground and you say money will come, you know, or as Prabhupada said, chant money will appear, you know. No, we do with our utmost sincerity, but we know the money will come. There was this one, a very interesting story. When one devotee was temple president, he was, I think, even alone in the temple. And there was a very difficult situation, and temples were even to be sold. I'm not exactly sure what was the story. But then he was lacking 2,735 euros or something like this, dollars. And then he went in front of Krishna and the deities, and he said, "My dear Lord, you know, I don't know how to find $2,735. You know, if you can find some other, please let me know. You know, I lost all my hopes." So then he went to his job, this and that. And in the evening, he looked at the handy box. There was a check. He opened the check. Was $2,735. Maybe somebody heard him through the wall. Whatever the story is, the check was there on this exact amount. You know. So, preach and money will come. But not only money, preach and everything else will come. Preach and people will come. Preach and good consciousness in the temple will come also. Because we know, I know as manager, you know, it's not only, you have to maintain your consciousness, but you have to maintain the temple's consciousness. It's your service to maintain the temple's consciousness. So when the temple is in mode of ignorance, you actually have to step up and make sure the temple gets out of the mode of ignorance. Just like when Prabhupada had his servants, secretaries, he saw he's not, you know, and he would give him a little bit hard time. And the person will wake up a little bit. You know. There was a famous stories with ex-Harikesh Swami and all these things. Prabhupada was always on alert. They were always on alert with Prabhupada. Because in the beginning, Prabhupada was very liberal. We were just talking yesterday with Nitya. The Prabhupada would stand in line with the hippies to take shower. Imagine 4 or 5 hippies, you know, with hairs, and you are His Divine Grace waiting. The hippies, you wait in line in your own temple for hippies to take shower before you. Imagine this. Shakti Avatar, you know, waiting in line. But you know, in the beginning, he has to fan everything. Whatever they do is wonderful. You know. But later on, Prabhupada actually wanted to train the devotees. And many times Prabhupada would be very upset for very seemingly small thing. Like as chapati. You know. Yeah, I've heard this lecture here. Prabhupada was here. Shrutakirti talking about chapati. We were listening when we were in Langenthal. About chapati. Chapati has to be puffed perfectly and hot. The Prabhupadas were very, very angry. Why chapati is not, you know, Prabhupada, then Prabhupada would finger, he would break, and then the hot air comes, then chapati is perfect. So Prabhupada would not eat other chapati. If chapati is not puffed, he would not eat it. Or whatever, so many other instances that Prabhupada was very upset about seemingly very, very small things. There was once in a book called my Master, My Lord and Master, Burijam Prabhu. What is the book? My Lord and Master. When he would organize in Hong Kong, Prabhupada sent him to Hong Kong, and he was not into it at all. At all. And he would try something, he would bring Indians. Somehow Prabhupada says, no Indians, I want Hong Kong people to preach. And that was very difficult for him. And then he organized one program for Prabhupada, and Prabhupada came to Hong Kong. And Prabhupada sat on the Vyasa-san to give a lecture, and he said, give me the Bhagavad Gita. And Burijan Prabhu writes, instant anxiety. I forgot the Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada looked at him and he said, so what do you have? Only your face. This is so heavy, and he said he was like wanted to die, you know. What do you have? Only your face. So Prabhupada would not, you know, not take it. You know, he would not say, "Okay, my dear, this." No, what is this? Because he wanted the best from his disciples. So therefore, coming back to this letter, this is a letter I'm reading. Letter from Prabhupada to Tamal Krishna Goswami. Given this opportunity of service, and if we simply execute the service by such performance of kirtan and practice ourselves the rules and regulations rigidly and with faith in Krishna and service to the orders of the bona fide spiritual master. So this is like, this should never be forgotten. The order of the spiritual master is the life and soul of a disciple. There's no other life and soul. This is it. You know, now of course our society has become a little relaxed. You know, just like when you eat a lot, so then you relax your belt a little bit, and you're like, okay, I can breathe. So society is a little bit like this. You know, we relax, and we go, okay, I can do a little bit here. I can go to India a little bit. You know, travel a little bit. I can go to festival, Ratha Yatra. It's all Krishna conscious. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It is wonderful. But this is not devotional service. This is a, you know, we can say, you know, devotional holidays. You know. But devotional service means executing the orders of the spiritual master and accepting the orders as life and soul. As Tamal Krishna Goswami, as brand new Bhakta, he was ready to get a job. He actually got a job. All devotees got jobs. In a book called Srila Prabhupada's Disciples in Germany, at that time Vedavyasa Prabhu Bhakti Gauravani Maharaj describes how Hamsa Dutta got a job to maintain the temple in Hamburg. Hansa Dutta Prabhu at that time got a job to wash dishes. Just washing dishes at that time, no vegan restaurants, meat restaurants. Imagine, you wash meat, karma is meat, you know. First of all, meat is disgusting. And these people eat the remnants of their meat and you washing it, you know. I don't think they had the machines to wash dishes of plates of restaurants. So he had to wash all this for Prabhupada. For the mission of the spiritual master, because mission of the spiritual master at that time meant everything, everything, nothing. It was nothing else but the mission of the spiritual master. Just like you know, this philosopher Heidegger, my favorite philosopher, explains how the soul identifies with the body. Of course, I translate as this. He explains a little more complicated. He said, just like a hand holds a hammer. When hands hold a hammer, you know, the concentration is on this act of beating the hammer. So the hand doesn't think like, oh, I'm holding a hammer, you know. Hand becomes a hammer, you know. You're just doing this. And your hand actually becomes a hammer, extends itself. So in the same way, in the, you can say all days of the disciples of Prabhupada, they thought, they became one with the mission of Prabhupada. And this is the actual real oneness. You know, we have so many, you know, Mayavadi philosophers nowadays, one love, you know, this is one love, man. But one love means one mission. There's only one mission, and this is the mission of the spiritual master, as Prabhupada explains here. Orders of the bona fide spiritual master, meaning the spiritual master did not give a, what's it yesterday I said? Not information, but not chance to inform, but actually chance to reform. Not information. Prabhupada gave information about Krishna, and if you like, you can take this part or take that part on this cake or that, you know, sabji, whatever you like. You know, when we go to eat meal, I like this, chutney I like so much. You know, it was not actually information, it's a reformation. Prabhupada brought this message in order for us to reform ourselves from complete useless loitering on the street. You know, at least we have 2 arms and 2 legs at this life. Like next life, who knows? Maybe we'll have no arms or no legs, or maybe whatever, or hundreds. You know, these bugs with 100 arms. So then it will be very difficult to understand Krishna consciousness. But we have somehow or other, by the grace of the Lord, 2 arms and 2 legs and brain, no matter how small, it works enough to understand this knowledge. So therefore, we should understand that this actually, all the Prabhupada's books are actually instructions. All the Prabhupada's books are instructions. They're not descriptions. Even description is also an instruction. Description of the spiritual world is instruction how to meditate on. So this is bona fide spiritual matter. Then there will be, Prabhupada says, there will be no scarcity of our necessities of life. So he said, then you will not, you will not need to worry about, do you have this? How do you maintain yourself? How do you maintain your temples? If you just apply this in your life, and everybody, whoever has managed the temple or managed any devotee unit, knows this. If you have a faith in Krishna and execute the orders of spiritual master, this thing will actually somehow come automatically. It's a very mystical thing. Very, very mystical thing. This is like unbelievable. But we have to have this faith. And we have to do this also. So Prabhupada says, and very pleasantly we will be able to execute our Krishna conscious activities without any anxiety for financial difficulties. Very pleasantly. We'll just walk around and say somebody off, oh, how 20,000? Okay, if you can put 20,000. I need it, like a long time ago I was in Tirupati. Revati Raman Prabhu was still temple president. And he told me he wants his temple to build whole temple only from book distribution. Only all money to come, every single rupee to come from book distribution. I mean, this temple is huge. I have not seen the finished, but this temple is humongous temple. And every single brick, everything was there, was paid by book distribution. Amazing, This is, but the devotee said 24-hour tables upstairs, in the Tirupati on Venkata Hill. There's a tables, big table of book distributors 24 hours a day. They have 3 shifts or 4 shifts, I don't know exactly. So devotees all night, all day, because there's pilgrims coming all day and night. So they would distribute so many books. And then he said, then people will come, some rich people will come and say, why are you struggling with this, here rupee, there rupee. He said, I can give you 2 million rupees or 10 million rupees, rich people. And he says, no. I want everything from book distribution. But if you like, we can buy some land for the cows somewhere else. So he expanded his thing. Meaning by preaching, all these things came about. There was no scarcity of money. So this is what Prabhupada says. And Prabhupada says, even continue in this letter, he said, actually, everything belongs to Krishna. Now become even more philosophical. Everything belongs to Krishna. It's not like we have to grab something from someone else. Everything belongs to Krishna. And if he likes, he can immediately give us the whole USA. Prabhupada says. And this was 1968. He can do it. But he's very cautious because we are prone to allurement of Maya. You are still young devotees and disorganized. We still have to learn so many things in Krishna consciousness. But we are, and also we are prone to allurement of Maya. We may be affected by so much. Imagine suddenly you become a mayor of Zurich, Hare Krishna devotee. You're like, wow. You walk around and people are bowing down. Thousands of people, they're driving a helicopter, and you think like, life is good, LG. But we may not be able to take this. This is a mayor, but what if you become a king? You actually can enjoy it, and you can decide. I want this, or I don't want this, or I like this, or they ask you questions like I've heard in one Arabian country, the kingdom, and they ask the king, and what does he think about this? Yeah, it's okay. Imagine such a huge decision, and he decides himself, one person. So Prabhupada says this. We are prone to allured by Maya. He does not give us all of a sudden all the facilities because we may fall prey to the illusory representation of Maya. So Prabhupada says, but we must always know that there is nothing more pleasant than Hare Krishna. This is the best thing to do. when we will be able to relish the transcendental pleasure in chanting Hare Krishna, then this will be a sign of our recovery from material disease. Please continue the method of cooperation very faithfully and diligently, and Krishna will help you more and more. Meaning, this is the best process. Keep on doing it, and don't worry about all these things, but be sincere in your approach. So this is the first part of the thing. And Tamakrishna Maharaj later on explains, Shri Shri Jaganabala Subhadra ki jai, Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai. Srila Prabhupada, Tamakrishna Maharaj explains that he was actually hoping, to see from Prabhupada, to hear from Prabhupada something. Okay, very nice, you collected, $40, but here Prabhupada actually went completely beyond that and explained philosophically that this is all material energy of Krishna, actually. So, in this regard, I was, since I'm very much interested in the early days of Prabhupada, and even especially before he came to America, before he came to America and started ISKCON, Prabhupada already started a society which was named League of the Devotees, League of Devotees. So Prabhupada wanted to, already this was, you can see the preparation for the worldwide movement. So, League of Devotees, Prabhupada wrote prospectus, meaning what we're going to do in the League of Devotees. And I thought it was very interesting for us that Prabhupada actually executed all of these things. The Prabhupada was already, he had everything in his mind. So I'll just go briefly to what Prabhupada envisioned by the League of the Devotees. Number 1, preaching. To propagate spiritual knowledge systematically for checking the imbalance of life to India and the whole world. So whole world in Prabhupada's eyes was imbalanced. So he said, if you preach Krishna consciousness, the world will become balanced. So this is a very interesting point. Harmony. Krishna consciousness means harmony. If there's a disharmony, that means there is something not Krishna conscious there. If there's disharmony between, two personalities or big leaders or two yatras or something, it's a sign that there's some disharmony, there's some Krishna consciousness, some aspects of Krishna consciousness are lacking. So this is number 1, preaching all over the world. Number 2, Prabhupada wanted to build up a social structure on the foundation of spiritual progress to establish peace and amity between man and man throughout the whole world. So Prabhupada wanted to build a society first. First was to preach, second to build a society, so we can have, at least in our society, our own people which you could live peacefully. So this is sometimes not so easy either at the moment. But the point is that Prabhupada wanted, this is why Prabhupada wanted society. To have a peace between man and man throughout the whole world. Amity, peace and amity. Meaning the support and so on and so forth. So it largely is happening, but still I think we need to work a little more on that. And how do you work on this? Is just by becoming more advanced. Because when you become more advanced, you first of all are not on the bodily platform, and you will not look others on the bodily platform. So it's a little bit different level of communication. Then Prabhupada wanted to propagate the sense of Godhead. Meaning, Srila Prabhupada wanted to establish religion again in the world, because the world is becoming more and more godless, especially Europe. America still there's this lots of religious fanatics actually, but in Europe it is more and more godless. Or even if they say they are supporting religion out of sentiments or whatever, but they're actually godless in reality, godless. And even if they say they believe in God, they act in a godless way. They do everything as anybody else does, except they believe in God. But actually the activity is exactly the same. So Prabhupada wanted to establish religion again. Then, D, create a community of devotees to bring together members individually to one another and nearer to Godhead. Community of devotees. So we have a different here, we have a community of devotees. Langenthal, the community of devotees, and so on and so forth. Because alone we know Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastrakaya, Lava Mata Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhihaya. By association with devotees, we can even 1 second association with devotees can bring us all perfection. And that also implies given association, not only taking, not only what is for me, but also given. To give association, you have to have it. You have to have association to give. You cannot just say, I'm a devotee, I'm giving association. You actually have to be myself advanced enough so I can say, okay, now I can give association according to the etiquette. When a new person comes, this person, the senior devotee, is merciful, he is equally disposed or friendly to the equal devotees, and he is respectful to the seniors. So we have to come to this, and therefore Prabhupada wanted to create communities, different communities. We have so many, Alachua, whatever, Berlin, there's all community of devotees. Then Prabhupada wanted next, E, to save man individually from the system of chained victimization by the trend of modern civilization. Chained victimization. Prabhupada wanted to save the people from this, as Prabhupada said, hellish factories or hellish. Nowadays, people don't work much as factories, but they work more in the IT section, in front of the computer. This is like a very also hellish. Ruin your sleep, ruin your contemplation. I mean, if you, as I, unfortunately, stand in front of the screen for so long, you close your eye, you see some divine light, Isn't it? You cannot see Krishna, you see just light. Everything is somehow enlightened. And your sleep is ruined, and so on and so forth. For example, try to after 8 o'clock, no electricity, no internet, just an oil lamp. Are you going to stay awake until 11:30? No, nobody. Or try to read in an oil lamp, you'll fall asleep immediately, very easily. 9 o'clock the latest, Even 9 is late. But if you have any computer, you can stay until 11:30, 12 o'clock, very important, type something, Because this is somehow emanates some,
Low light.
Low light is the same. Low light, big light. Basically, this is just an example. There's so many other amazing things. Noise, cars, constantly. Wow. This is so disturbing, actually. So disturbing. And also relationships and wars. War is very disturbing. Now we experience the war here, very close by here. We don't know. War may come here also. We don't know. For now, it's all wonderful, but we don't know. We're in Goloka Dam, and Goloka Dam is only 50 kilometers away from Ramstein. Ramstein is the American base, so if anything be bombed, this would be the place. So we're like, Hare Krishna. So there's big disturbances in this world. As Prabhupada uses this is very funny to me. Chained victimization, chain meaning perpetual, constant victimization. So number F. To imbibe and develop in the mind of the individual souls the all-attractive personality of God, Sri Krishna, as his primeval and eternal form. Meaning to explain who Krishna is, described by Lord Chaitanya, according to Lord Chaitanya, who Krishna is. Because our Lord Chaitanya is our authority, also philosophical authority. And because there are so many descriptions who Krishna is, Madhva Sampradaya have different idea who is Krishna. I think even Ramanuja Sampradaya, they think Krishna is one of the incarnations of Vishnu. He incarnates from Vishnu is the supreme, and Krishna is one who incarnates from Vishnu. So there's different description of who Krishna is, but Lord Chaitanya described that Krishna is Svayam Bhagavan. His disciples, Jiva Goswami particularly, established, the Krishna Sandarbha. The Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then he mentioned this verse as a key verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Ete cham sakalapam sa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indra Vyakulam Loke Vedanti Yuge Yuge. This is the verse, describing who is God. This is God.
Which verse?
Ete cham sakalapam sa Krishna. I don't know the number. Anybody knows the number? Just look at Google, Ete cham sakalapam sam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. I can look at later on if you want, or you can look at also. Google is available freely. So describe who is Krishna. Ge, to To prove practically by active work and preaching that Sri Krishna is the only enjoyer of all the outcome of everyone's sacrifice, penance, meditation, arts, culture, science, because he is the supreme proprietor of the whole world. Meaning, this is Prabhupada's famous formula, Bhaktaram Yagatapasam Saraloka Maheshwaram, that everybody should engage in Krishna service, whatever capacity, whatever talents we have. Prabhupada always says, if you're an artist, you know, if you're a scientist, there's so much to learn about, you know, creation of the universe, Krishna's creation, and so on and so forth. So, to engage everyone in service to Krishna in their own capacities. H. Ha. To propagate and realize the highest truth as revealed by Lord Chaitanya through his philosophy known as Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva, and other allied books of knowledge as revealed by the 6 authorized disciples Goswamis, headed by Srila Rupa and Srila Sanatana. So Prabhupada wanted actually to propagate this philosophy also all over the world. To distribute books, but also to preach this philosophy too. You know, preaching means also writing books. You know. Meaning also to show that we are actually also thinking about this. Prabhupada says that these are extended. Virabhaku many years ago, he was telling us that these are extended Ishta Goshtis. Ishta Goshti is actually everything which is extension of Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we speak now, when I speak Srimad Bhagavatam, he says this is actually Ishta Goshti. This is extension. This is also part of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So he says, so writing books about Krishna is an extension of Srimad Bhagavatam. You know, interestingly enough, I thought, wow, this is an interesting vision. This is actually Ishta Goshti. You know. Then, E or I, reveal the holy places, to re-excavate or reclaim the holy places of transcendental pastimes of the personality of God, Shri Krishna, as well as the places where his devotees flourished, including the various temples of worship. So we have you know, places, for example, upstairs, we were talking yesterday, Shri Ram, he's not here. He said, this is amazing, you feel the presence of Prabhupada upstairs. And you said also, the Prabhupada, although he never came here, presence of Prabhupada upstairs is like amazing, it's like he was there. But he was there because also his stuff, his personal stuff, he used it personally. Imagine this. Imagine you have a, you know, personal pencil written by Jesus Christ. You know, the Christians will take over the world. You know. This is a holy pencil by Jesus Christ, personally. You know, they have a chadar or whatever. There's a chadar Jesus was wrapped when he was 3 days dead, or whatever they call it, shroud, I don't know exactly. And somehow apparently this is the one. But we have a Prabhupada's chadar. We have a Prabhupada's chadar. He actually wore it. This is like, this is the supreme, amazing, the most wonderful, holy item. And this is not just one, there's so many items. His shoes, his original books that he actually touched. So this is this we have to also, as Prabhupada says here, establish, reveal the holy places. There's so many holy places not yet revealed. In Mayapur, you go to this field, and there's a, someone says, oh, here in this bush, here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we don't, you know, there's so many places actually not revealed, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walked, all these details. Then, Yot or J, to prepare the groundwork of spiritual atmosphere for the people in general by Sankirtan movement, as it is recommended in the scriptures and as propounded by the father of Sankirtan movement, Lord Chaitanya. So basically to establish the Sankirtan movement all over the world. Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter to Indira Gandhi. She never read it and she never replied. But she was the president or how do you call it, of India at that time. And Prabhupada make several points. You should immediately do the following things in order to establish Vedic culture. You know, number one, establish your son as king, Rajiv as king. Number two, stop all the slaughterhouses. Number three, stop, close all the brothels. Number four, all the liquor shops close. And so on and so forth. Number 6, 7 was all the government officials must chant 1 hour of Hari Kirtan. Imagine, you know, in Zurich, in Basel, you know, these businessmen in suit and tie, they stop, 12 o'clock, Hare Krishna, harmonium, and 1 o'clock close and go back to work. That would be nice. This is what Prabhupada wanted. Establish a Sankirtan movement. K. Start to undertake civic... This is a very interesting point here. To undertake civic enterprises which do not come in conflict with the ideals and missions of the League with all the principles in view. Prabhupada actually wanted to start business. Different businesses. Not just, like this story of a grasshopper and armaiza is what? Ants. Not only the ant, and during the summertime, ant is working hard and the grasshopper is playing, and then when the winter comes, the ants are well set, everything is there, wood is there, the food is there, and the grasshopper is, oh, can I also join you? So Prabhupada did not only envision society to be based on philosophy, but Prabhupada wanted also practical living. Prabhupada was very practical. This is the one thing. Prabhupada was very, very, very practical person. For me, this is very attractive. He was not living in the clouds. Although he was philosophically and devotionally connected to the Goloka Vrindavan fully, he was very much present on this earth. He was not, as in America call it, airhead. You know what airhead means? Go here a little bit, go there. It's like air in the head. Prabhupada wanted to do businesses. Devotees should actually do businesses. And I thought every community, if you start a community anywhere, devotional community in the world, the first thing, or at least K, from A to K, we should consider that we should start some kind of business. Because how would devotees live? How do you live if you don't earn money? Then you have to go somewhere else and earn money, or have a job for some materialist. But Prabhupada says these businesses should not interfere with devotional principles. We should not sell whatever, something that break the principles, or something which is against Krishna. So then Srila Prabhupada says we should arrange lectures and discourses by eminent devotees for the benefit of the members of the League, and so on and so forth. And send missionary for these purposes in all parts of the world to recruit members of the League. Meaning, send preachers and deliver lectures. So this is the one. Next. This is also very interesting. M. To open free mail services to advise by post in respect of inquiries made to the League on spiritual subjects. Meaning, we should have available places where people can ask us questions, which is very interesting to me. I was yesterday just looking something, how do Christians preach online, and there's one Christian site called askabiblical.org, something like this, and so many questions. They're like, for the last couple of years, there was 700,000 questions asked. I was thinking we should actually, Prabhupada says here, make an opportunity for people to ask questions. Maybe this could be maybe my next chance. Then, make the League international, to make the League as an international organization. At that time he didn't have anything, he wanted to establish an international organization. Which means that we should not, although we have so many small groups, and even, as we spoke the other day, different tastes or different varieties of understanding even of Krishna consciousness. As long as we are under one umbrella, and this is Prabhupada's umbrella, for the principles, the books, philosophy, Achintya Veda, Veda Tattva, Lord Chaitanya, then this is a part of international society. We cannot expect that everybody will be the same. There's some people who do expect, but this is not possible. This will never happen. This was until around 2000, 2004 maybe. And after this, after installation of Panchatattva, this is, I think, the crucial time. After this, the ISKCON is kind of like become many branched, or as Devamrita Swami put it, highly pluralistic. Highly pluralistic. And it's becoming more and more pluralistic. Of course, therefore, the future GBCs and the GBCs are making sure that these borders of Prabhupada's movement are obeyed or followed. So therefore, this is the part of Lord Chaitanya movement, the Prabhupada's movement, and this is kind of not. So if you want to be, you have to cut this to trim a little bit this part and trim that part so you can fit. You know, something like this. Next, I have a few, only two, so be patient. Is to establish mode of goodness to make Brahmins. Prabhupada wanted to make Brahmins all over the world. To revoke the quality of goodness, particularly Sattva Guna, in every member of the league individually. So therefore Prabhupada wanted temples to be in mode of goodness, not in mode of ignorance or mode of passion. You know, a mode of goodness, we know there's a big list. What is the mode of goodness? How does the devotee in mode of goodness behave? How does the devotee in mode of goodness live? What is the mentality of the devotee in mode of goodness? And what are the activities of person in the mode of goodness? And therefore when people come who are not in mode of goodness, they will see, wow, this place is in the mode of goodness, I would like to be like this too. But if person comes and you see this is mode of passion, mode of ignorance, exactly as my house, so they are not exactly impressed, they will not be impressed. You know. When the first time a friend of mine, I joined many years ago, and a friend of mine came to visit me to see what is this Hare Krishna thing, and he came and we were sitting in this so-called preaching area where you bring guests, and it's a very nice place with couches and things like this. So we were sitting there and he said, how can you live here? This is so clean. And he said, I said, well, it's not because I was cleaning. I said, not exactly because I was cleaning. For me, it was like, I see dirt here, dirt there. But for him, he said, this is, you know, I was cleaning, there was a big leaves, the plants, and I have to daily take the dust daily from each leaf, you know. So everything looks very nice. You know. So he was like, how can you live here, man? Anyway, so therefore when people come, they see this is a mode of goodness, and people behaving also appropriately as in the mode of goodness. So, therefore creating Brahmanas. Prabhupada says, intellectual man on the basis of truthfulness, forgiveness, equality, tolerance, education, purity, knowledge, and in the transcendental service to Godhead. Then, on the end, Prabhupada wanted to create ashrams, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasis, and brahmacharis, and establish the four principles. These are the ground for all our activities. No illicit. This is listen to the four principles. Number one, illegitimate connection with woman. 2, intoxicating habit. Number 3, diets regulated with vegetable dishes. And number 4, gambling, unnecessary sporting or recreation enterprises. So these are no gambling, no unnecessary sportings, and no recreation enterprises. Meaning no leisurely things. Anyways, this is, I thought it would be very interesting for us. How Prabhupada envisioned his society. Thank you very much, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. If you would have perhaps a question. So, first time? Second time? Third time? Yeah, Prabhu.
Prabhu, as you was mentioning about mode of goodness, so we need to maintain that only in the home and temple, or do we need to be in mode of goodness in our profession as well?
Hare Krishna. Well, you can. I don't know how can you separate if you're in mode of goodness in temple and home, and then you're in mode of passion in the work. I don't think this is possible. Maybe it is for you. I don't know, but mostly for devotees to actually advanced devotees and actually in mode of goodness, when they start working, the other people recognize this, recognize good qualities of a devotee. They don't know that you're a devotee, maybe, but they see this person behaves really nicely, and they actually appreciate there's something special about you. But there's no harm being in mode of goodness. Mode of passion does not mean activity. You know, we sometimes think that, you know, mode of passion means very active, doing things. You know, mode of passion means being attached, overly attached to the results of what I do. So if you're being very active, this is not mode of passion. You know. This is just you have to do things sometimes, but not being attached Meaning, and you don't want to, you want to make a progress in your company, and you sabotage your colleague, and this is more the passion. We don't do this as devotees. And on the all, Prabhupada wanted devotees to earn money to maintain themselves and their family, not to be rich. Because if no harm to be rich, but if you over endeavor just to become rich to your neighbors, for your village to see, wow, look at him, he has made it in Dubai or whatever, this is more the passion. So, and then you will not have much time to practice Krishna consciousness. So better to have a little less, but to have more time. It's like this, It's like this. This is your work and is your Krishna consciousness. So you just, what do you want to have? More Krishna consciousness or more work? So I want to more Krishna consciousness, but I also want to earn money. You don't want to be whatever on a beggar. You don't want to be beggar. But at the same time, if you're just concerned with money, you may miss Krishna consciousness in this lifetime. Because when you're 70 or something, you may be too late to become Krishna conscious. So you have to be smart. And therefore, Grihastha ashram is, I don't want to say dangerous, but Grihastha ashram, because dangerous in the sense that nobody can tell you anything. In other ashrams, brahmachari, you just tell him, what are you doing? Don't do this. You're eating too much. I remember one brahmachari, when I joined first, one brahmachari was eating, and temple president said, you're too fat, you should reduce your eating. And I was like, wow, how can somebody tell me how much should I eat? You come from the material world. Somebody can tell me how much should I eat. But then later on, it's actually true. He sees him as his child. Temple president sees a brahmachari as a child. So he instructs him, don't do this, do this. And then once person gets married, who's going to instruct you in your home? Who is going to, knock at your door, temple president come in your street and Haribol is Mangalartik Prabhu, You have to put effort yourself, for many, many years. Not just 1 year, but whatever years people are married and have kids. And then, when this is over, kids are grown up, you're 50, 60 years old, then you say, okay, this is done now. Now I'm going the next step. And then again, you have accepting authority, Then you take sannyas, you also have, some authority. Sannyas also doesn't mean you're just relentlessly traveling around. There's some kind of authority over you also. So Grihastha ashram is wonderful in one sense, but dangerous in another sense, that you have to decide yourself. You have to have a self-incentive. How much I do for me, how much I do for Krishna. It's a very responsible ashram. Because you have kids, you have to see how much my kids are Krishna conscious. How much is my wife Krishna conscious? How am I Krishna conscious? Just like that. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Mataji. Does it make a microphone?
Thank you for your lecture.
Hare Krishna.
I have a small question. Sometimes when a person in goodness faces some challenges, it could be from the family, work, anywhere.
Yes.
And you sometimes just stop in the sense, just get blocked, and you can't connect with anyone, even with your altar or with devotees around you. I mean, mechanically you do talk to everyone,
Yes.
but internally you can't. So this is more of goodness, or it's
not connecting to other people doesn't necessarily mean more the goodness or passion or anything. It's just a personal relation. I don't. If you can maybe more qualify what you just said.
For example, maybe somebody is talking to everyone very nicely, and then comes a phase in life when you want to, but you can't connect. But the people around you are in a habit of just looking at you in the same way, like you're old you, but you are not the same person anymore.
In what sense? You're not the same.
Yes, something, maybe because of age or because of devotion or due to different pressures, you
Yes.
completely in inside you change a lot. You become isolated. You want to, I mean, you don't become isolated, but you just want to stay away.
Yes.
And you just can't explain it to anyone what's happening, not even to yourself.
Yes.
But for others, sometimes they get annoyed with you because you are not connecting with
You're not the same person as you were before.
and you're not connecting with them anymore like you used to.
Yes. Well, as long as you are connected to Krishna, this is good. So, if you stay connected to Krishna, this is wonderful. And sometimes it is true. You know, when we go through life, we go through one group of people, and somehow we outgrow them, or we somehow go some other direction. And this is nothing. This is how it is. This is life. But main thing is we should remain always respectful, always with good intentions, good wishes, and we should, above all, always stay connected with Krishna. And then Krishna will also inspire us, you know. And then Krishna, if this particular group of people somehow we feel somehow not connected, maybe Krishna will bring us to another group of people. This is called sajjana in Sanskrit, your own kind. And it is described that everybody should associate with their own kind. You know, for example, me and my wife, we were grihastas for some years, and now we are not grihastas anymore. So associating with grihastas is that not anymore our own kind. You know, we went to different way now, different level of surrender, or different level of devotion. So we understand what do they go through and everything, but we cannot relate in a sense that we have some other interests which is related to Krishna. Something like that.
More questions. Sometimes when pressures of life come,
Yes.
it's also difficult even to be attached to your altar or to chant even, I mean mechanically. You
Yes, yes.
And is that something really like bad or not in the mode of goodness at all?
In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, when your mind becomes distracted, you should pull it back by force. So when we have no attraction to the altar, we have no attraction to chanting, we should look at the altar, we should chant, nevertheless. By force. I mean, when you have seen a cow in your life, yes. So when a cow goes to a cornfield or some field, what do you say? Oh, my dear cow, can you please come back? No, there's a cow, take a stick and get out of here, And a cow immediately says, oh, stick, and run away. So it's the same with the mind, same with our consciousness. Not attracted, you just say, okay, stick, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, 16 rounds. And if it's still mental, okay, 18 rounds. Still mental, 20 rounds. Skip breakfast and read Bhagavatam for 15 minutes. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Also 14, 15.
Ja, das macht das ein bisschen angefasst einfach. Also der erste Entwurf, First Draft.
Aber Business, das ist interessant für mich.
Ja.
Business. Civic Enterprise.
Ja, das ist die gute Sinn, wo ich beschäftigt sein kann.
Aber Prabhupada hat über alles gedacht, nachgedacht. Wenn ich sehe, kommt, das alles war, das hat nicht, wusste nicht. Natürlich, okay, jetzt, aber er hat Business gemacht mit Spiritual Science.
Business gemacht.
Bücher, das alles Prabhupada hat gesagt. Nee, ich bleibe hier. Ich habe etwas online gehabt, gestern online einen Vortrag gegeben in Helsinki. Da wurde zu Helsinki irgendwie, ich weiß nicht. Der wollte ihn irgendwo getroffen, der hat ihn eingeladen, einen Vortrag zu geben. Und er so, und gestern ich habe einen Gäste gegeben und er das ist super, wunderbar, komm nach Helsinki. So, wir nehmen uns. Und dann, wir lesen Bhagavad jeden Tag.
Ich habe gedacht, da praktisch hast du heute das Kurs.
Ich habe keine Bhagavad. Ich habe nur Bhagavad Gita. Vielleicht nächstes Mal. Vor Adi Purusha gestorben ist. Vor Adi Purusha gestorben ist, glaube ich. Ich habe in Adi Purusha bis jetzt diese Ishapanisha Nectar Instruction gemacht.
Gestorben als Lehrer.
Ja, wenn er tot ist, dann meine Kurse bringen es nichts.
Aha.
Weil ich habe mit ihm Nectar Instruction schon gemacht. Er hat nur Bhagavad Gita noch. Also ich so, wenn er lebt noch, Bhagavad Gita zu machen. Machst du auch Bhakti Bhava?
Also nicht selber hier, aber ich im VIG, manchmal habe ich Berichte da. Aber Bhakti Shastri organisiere ich selber.
Bereit.
Das gibt durch den Leben. Sehr lange. Bhakti Shastri machen wir einmal im Jahr. Bhakti Bhava.
Okay, wenn ich bereit bin, dann bin ich fest.